I watched these movies with my 7-year-old nephew, and his review was this: I no like that silly girl, I only like Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. I did then try to point out to him that when he hits puberty, he might feel differently about it, but still, that's a pretty good review, I think. But when you look at how much money these movies made, regardless of what you might think of Michael Bay, you do have to kind of respect him, which is not something I expected to say in any of these reviews, especially not the first one. But I mean, he does know how to make money, he's certainly good at that, but that's not really that much of a compliment, since you could say the same thing about Hannibal Lecter. He was very good at what he did, doesn't mean that what he did was good, or that you would want to see it firsthand. Now don't worry, if you're watching this to see the Transformers movies get nitpicked to shreds, you have come to the right place. And we're going to cover each of these 3 movies in this 3-part video. This is part 1, we've got part 2 and 3 coming up soon. But on top of just covering the movies, we're also going to go on a journey together. We're going to try to find the answers to a number of puzzling questions associated with these movies, such as, why do stupid movies make so much money? For all the hate that Michael Bay gets, and he says he doesn't care, and hey, why should he? He probably can't even hear the criticism being buried under this giant pile of cash. But we're also going to ask, is Michael Bay really that bad? Is Michael Bay really like some kind of psychic vampire that feeds off the misery of the fans? Or is he more like a George Lucas? Someone that's just so completely out of touch that they have no idea what people want, and in that way is kind of innocent. Well, my friends, by the time we get to the end of these videos, we should have our questions answered. So I think we can all agree that these movies are stupid. But the excuse that everyone uses to try and defend these movies, because yes, there are a few people who do try to defend them, is that, hey, it's just supposed to be a stupid movie for kids, who cares? To which I say no. Because first of all, just because a film might be made for a young audience does not mean that it has to be dumb. Because you know what? Kids are not stupid. They are not stupid. In fact, kids can sometimes be uncannily perceptive about people and situations. Sure, they don't have the same level of experience or knowledge as you or I do, but their minds are every bit as powerful. In some ways, perhaps even more so, because they're learning at a faster rate than they ever will at any other point in their lives. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that kids should have to do a Prometheus-level amount of mental heavy lifting in order to understand a movie like Transformers. Of course not. But it can be more emotionally intelligent, because that seems to be another common mistake that people make when making films intended for kids. They think that kids somehow can't compute more emotionally complex moments, or that it somehow scars them mentally. Kids can handle a lot more than we often think. For example, just go back and read some of the classic fairy tales that you had read to you when you were a kid. They are pretty damn intense. They're about rape, murder, cannibalism, but we all had them read to us when we were kids. Or look at some of the older Disney cartoons. They didn't wuss out. Bambi's mother dies, leaving Bambi to wander the freezing cold night all alone. It's pretty heavy, dude. My point in saying all this is you can make a movie that's suitable for a younger audience without it having to be a dumb idiot fest. I mean, this is dumb even by little kid standards. Well, maybe not for the very young, but Transformers is aimed at what, like 10 to 15 year olds? Yeah, so they've probably grown out of the whole poop joke phase. Taking a page out of Pixar's book would have been a good move for Transformers, because they're enjoyable for both the old and the young. And most importantly, Pixar doesn't treat kids like they're idiots. You can see it in the quality of everything they do, that they take it seriously. They don't let the fact that they're targeting a movie at a younger audience be an excuse for making a bad or a stupid movie. And what is up with all the secret government agency stuff in these movies? Seriously, isn't this movie supposed to be about a teenage kid making friends with a bunch of robots? But the movie spends more time in government think tanks than it does with the main character or the Transformers. I don't know whether Michael Bay put all this in as an effort to hold the interest of maybe the slightly older teenage kids, or whether it's just because he clearly has a major infatuation with military hardware.
Oh, baby.
So the plot to Transformers is basically this. there's this thing called the Cube, which is kind of like the Codex in Man of Steel. It can give like a rebirth to the Transformers race. The evil robots, aka Decepticons, want to get it to create an army to go do evil stuff, and the good robots, aka the Autobots, want to find it to restore Cybertron to what it once was, since it's been reduced to a barren wasteland after so many years of war. And Shia LaBeouf has the key as to where it is, his great-grandfather's glasses, because they have the coordinates of where the cube is, or something. So look, in short, everybody's trying to find Shia to get the cube. There. Now you would think that a story like that would mean that things would need to rotate around the kid, but oh no. Instead we have 4 different stories all going on at the same time. Kind of like Pulp Fiction, only a lot more random. We have Shia and his car Bumblebee. We have this hacker Aussie chick with all the government think tank stuff. We have these soldier guys who are completely unnecessary, and the Decepticons trying to find the cube. Now despite what I have said about the government agency stuff, it does make sense to have it in the movie, because if alien robots really did come to Earth, you would imagine the government will be involved in some way. But those parts should really be kept in the background, while the real heart of the story should be centered around Sam and his friendship with the Autobots. But this movie is, however, the best of the Transformers movies. I think most people can agree that it's the best of the 3. It's stupid, yes, but it does have some good moments. Shia LaBeouf is the least annoying.
Listen, I was wondering if I could ride you home. Give you a ride home in my car to your house.
The parents are actually kind of lovable in this one.
Got a little surprise for you, son.
What kind of...
Yeah, a little surprise.
No, Dad! Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I am. You're not getting a Porsche?
And we can relate with Shia, or Sam's, rather, situation.
All right, Mojo, I got the car. Now I need the girl. I need money to take out the girls when I need.
Yeah, he's a teenage kid, he just wants to get his life together. We've all been there. In fact, some of my favourite moments in the entire trilogy are just these early scenes with Sam in the first movie. I like seeing him interacting with his parents. I like Bernie Mac.
Hey, mammy! Oh, don't be like that. If I had a rock, I'll bust your head, bitch. Same as she deaf, you know?
I like that he uses the Transformers tagline as a pickup line.
I think there's a lot more than meets the eye with you.
Okay.
And I especially like it when he's in his car, Bumblebee, and Bumblebee is trying to help him to hit on Megan Fox. It's kind of cool because his other friend was no help at all to him, but Bumblebee's there to be a real friend and back him up. There was a lot of potential here in this relationship between Sam and Bumblebee, because Sam's a teenager and Bumblebee is kind of like the teenager of the group of Autobots. So that's why they kind of just click straight away. It would have been really great to see this connection between them just strengthen and grow over the course of subsequent movies. But as we will see, it doesn't really. In the other movies, Sam just spends most of his scenes with Bumblebee yelling at him and just treating him like dirt. That's not how friends should treat each other. But another thing that I did like in this movie was when we see Optimus transform for the first time. It happens kind of slow, so you can see all the little parts moving around. The music swells with this really sort of bold tune, and you can just feel the little kid inside you start cheering. It's pretty awesome. This kind of stuff is great. This is what you want to see in a Transformers movie. But the problem is, they keep breaking it up and cycling back and forth between all the other storylines going on. Who cares? I just want to see the Transformers. I don't care about government conspiracies or computer hackers. So anyway, both the Decepticons and the Autobots are searching the Earth for the cube, but they go about it in very different ways. The Decepticons raid military bases and hack into the secret files, even stealing files direct from Air Force One. And they eventually do find stuff that leads them to Sam and Sam's great-grandfather's glasses. But meanwhile, the Autobots have already discovered Sam's great-grandfather and the glasses that have the coordinates on them. How?
How'd you know about his glasses?
eBay.
So if the Decepticons had just done a Google search instead of raiding all the military bases, they would have saved a lot of time and effort. It also makes you wonder though, because obviously the Autobots sent Bumblebee to be Sam's guardian as soon as they found out about him, right? But Optimus and the others don't show up to ask Sam where the glasses are until an hour into the movie, even though Bumblebee found him at the 12-minute mark. Why did they take so long? I mean, if this cube is so important to them, you reckon that they would have approached him right away. So they all follow Sam back to his house to get the glasses when John Turturro shows up to arrest him and takes him away. Optimus intercepts them and they use this magnet thing to take all of their guns off them, and they get the glasses off Sam. When more government agency guys show up and start lassoing Bumblebee.
Are we just gonna stand here and do nothing? There's no way to free Bumblebee without harming the humans.
Sure there is. Just use that magnet thing again. And since Optimus now has the glasses, he doesn't bother to stop them taking Sam away. Funny, he saved him back when he had the glasses, but now that Optimus has them himself, he just lets them take Sam. Meanwhile, the government guys are freaking out because the Decepticons have wrecked all the computers when hacking.
These things can be hurt by our weapons, and now they know it. That's why the virus shut us down, so we can't coordinate against their next attack. Which I would bet my ridiculous government salary is coming.
Why would the Decepticons be planning an invasion if they don't even have the cube yet? It's in the Hoover Dam, but they don't know that. Unless they got that info during their computer hack and are going to go get it, but that can't be because it's only when the mini Decepticon stumbles upon it that they actually converge. And even though Optimus said in the beginning that they wanted to use the cube to rebuild Cybertron,
We scattered across the galaxy, hoping to find it and rebuild our home.
now he decides that it has to be destroyed. Why?
You all know there's only one way to end this war. We must destroy the cube.
The civil war that happened on Cybertron? If that war was over the cube, then it should have ended 12,000 years ago when the cube disappeared. If not then it should have ended when the leader of the Decepticons, Megatron, disappeared 2,000 years ago in search of the cube and never came back. If the war was over the cube, then what have they been fighting for the last 12,000 years? And if it wasn't about the cube, then destroying it isn't going to end anything. In fact, it doesn't, because they're still fighting the Decepticons in the next two movies. And if the cube is used to create more Transformers, then how come it only seems to create Decepticons? Shouldn't they just be like normal Autobots? And if the Transformers need the cube to reproduce, then how have they survived the last 12,000 years without it? Unless Transformers live forever? I mean, are all these guys 12,000 years old? But Bumblebee's a teenager. How does that work? So, some guy with a mustache brings Sam and Megan Fox and all the other irrelevant characters into the Hoover Dam. And because it's totally classified,
What you're about to see is totally classified.
he decides to just show everybody. Meanwhile, a Decepticon has snuck into the Hoover Dam and found the cube, and radios its location back to all the other Decepticons. Sam convinces the guy with the mustache to let Bumblebee get at the cube, and he takes it. And here we do see a glimpse of a bit of smart writing in this movie. There are a few elements to this movie that show brief flashes of coherent thought behind the story. Like this idea that Transformers are immobilized by extreme cold, Megatron frozen in the Antarctic after he crashes in search of the cube, them spraying freeze stuff on Bumblebee, and what they do with Megatron at the end. Just little signs that someone was thinking this through behind the scenes. Whoever that person was should have been given more say. So Megatron defrosts and starts tearing everything apart. And he asks one of the Decepticons,
Where is the cube?
as if he is totally up to date with what's been happening. Remember, he has been asleep in the ice for 2,000 years, but he just immediately jumps into the plot without even asking any questions. Like, where am I? What year is it? How long have I been asleep? Is the war still going on? How come you guys didn't bother coming to search for me when I disappeared? That's a big one. He was the leader of the Decepticons and nobody even bothered to go find him? They weren't even looking for him when they did find him. They were trying to find the cube. Finding him was just an accident. Could you imagine if at the very height of the American Civil War, Abraham Lincoln just disappeared completely and nobody made any effort to look for him or to find out what happened? It'd be unheard of. Well, that is essentially what happened with Megatron.
The humans have taken it. You fail me yet again, Starscream.
Oh, so they know each other from before he was frozen in the ice 2,000 years ago. Then that means Starscream must be at least 2,000 years old because he wasn't frozen. So Megatron is all like, give me the cube! And Sam is like, never! And Optimus is like, push it into my chest, Sam!
No, Sam!
Oh, he's dead. Hang on, wait. So our primary villain, Megatron, who has been literally asleep for the whole movie, and who has had no hand in any of the Decepticon plan that happened so far, is now dead. So our primary villain is only in the movie for a total of 24 minutes. In the entire film. I know, I timed it. So Sam saves the day. They dump Megatron's body in the ocean.
The massive depth and pressure there, coupled with sub-freezing temperatures, will crush and entomb him.
Yeah, until the next movie when the Decepticons just swim down there with no trouble at all. Optimus is all sad.
With the Allspark gone, we cannot return life to our planet.
Until the third movie when Cybertron magically reappears somehow. Bumblebee says that he wants to keep being Sam's guardian, speaking with his own voice for the first time in the movie.
You speak now?
I wish to stay with the boy.
Until they take it away again in the next movie for reasons that are never explained. There's one last gratuitous shot of Megan Fox and we're all done. Roll credits and $1 billion rains from the heavens down on top of Michael Bay's oversized head. But you know, I feel kind of bad that this review isn't a bit more in depth, but there seriously is just so little in the actual plot itself that there's really just not that much to talk about. Transformers is one of the biggest examples ever of padding in a movie. So much of it is just not needed at all to tell the story. From the soldiers' shootout with a robot scorpion in the desert, to the hacker chick being arrested and questioned for hacking, which is stupid because that's what they hired her to do in the first place, to a phone being transformed into a mini Autobot to show us what we've already had explained to us about 5 times, to the irrelevant characters trying to get Morse code radio working in Independence Day style, to George Bush's socks. None of this stuff matters, and it takes up the overwhelming bulk of the film. If you just cut it all out, you've got like a 30-minute movie. But you know what? Putting Michael Bay and these Transformers movies to the side, if you just look at the actual idea of Transformers before Michael Bay came along, Transformers as a toy line, as the cartoon show, it's really a genius idea. It really is. I mean, a car that can change into a robot. What young boy would not want to have one of those as a toy? It's 2 very cool things in one. You can have the cartoon to get all the kids into the mythology of it, and because they're robots, you can have them fight each other without having to worry about censorship on the morning TV. It's a brilliant idea. It really is. So it's not at all surprising that these movies were made. It was kind of inevitable in that way. But something that I've always wondered about that becomes particularly pointed in the next movie is, what exactly are the Transformers? I know they call them NBETs.
NBE?
Non-biological extraterrestrials. Try and keep up with the acronyms.
But that doesn't really answer anything. I mean, are there little aliens inside them that drive them around, kind of like Daleks? Or are they robots with artificial intelligence? Since they're called non-biological, probably the latter is more likely, but if they're robots with AI, then why do they have individual personalities?
This looks like a cool place to kick it.
And why does it matter if they die? Can't you just rebuild someone if they get killed? Maybe it's just me. I get caught up on stuff like that. But it comes into play in the second Transformers movies, which we'll cover in part 2. And this movie just cuts off at the end. It just completely cuts off. You can't do that in a blockbuster summer movie, dude. You can't have it just end like that. You can't do that. You can't do